What is happening, guys? Today I'm going to give you my Black Myth Wukong quick start guide. So we're going to be going through all the basics to get you started to have a great adventure in Black Myth Wukong. We're going to be going over graphic settings and all that good stuff. So let's get right into it. First thing we're going to do is make sure our graphic settings are all up to par. We're going to type in graphic settings, and we're going to just make sure if this is not in here, we want to add it into here. So all you have to do is click Browse, and you're going to go to Common. You're going to go Black Myth Wukong, and you're going to add it. It'll be the B1.extension. And just to go ahead and add that. And then once that's added in there, make sure that's set to high performance. So you'll have to go to options and just make sure that's on your high performance GPU, whatever that is, whatever your graphics card is, make sure that's on there. And then just save that. Once that's done, we can just close out of that. And then there's one other thing we want to check here too. Also make sure you have, obviously make sure you have the latest driver for your graphics card. That's just a given. But also we're going to go into NVIDIA control panel real quick. We're going to make sure a couple settings are in there marked as well. So when this pulls up, you're going to go Manage 3D Settings. And you're going to go down to the middle here. And there's going to be an area where it says Power Management Mode. We're going to want to make sure that says Prefer Maximum Performance. And right under that shader catch size, we want that to say unlimited. So once those are good, we can close out that, and we're good to go from there. So with those settings changed, let's go ahead and open up the game. So once the game's open, we're going to go into settings here. And we're going to go through each one of these. So controller, we're going to leave alone. We're going to go down to gameplay. And a few things I recommend here. I recommend having auto switch lock on. That'll be like when you get to like a new target, it'll automatically switch. And then also have auto lock on when attacking. There's a lot of areas in this game that have a lot of enemies coming at you at different times. And when you kill one, this will automatically switch to a new one when attacking. And also auto target when attacking. That should also be on. Camera assist, I also have on. I feel like the camera just operates better with this on, so I would recommend that on. And then show headgear, you can, do what you want. I kind of like the headgear in this game, so I actually leave this on now. Go to camera next. There's nothing really to switch here, so I'm going to leave all those standard. Language, obviously, you know that. Display, I have found this game to work a lot better when there's a frame rate cap. I don't know why it is. I messed around with this quite a bit. I found that when I cap my frame rate, it has a lot less problems, so I recommend that. And also VSync, that you have to determine if you need that on. If you have a G-Sync monitor, this needs to be off. If you have a AMD FreeSync, that needs to be on. For me, I have an AMD monitor, so I'm going to keep that on. Motion blur, I like to keep that off. I feel like the game just runs better at that. And camera shake, I turn that to 0. I absolutely hate camera shake. So that goes right to 0 every time. For graphics, what I recommend doing here is set to apply recommended graphic settings right off the bat. So just go ahead and click that. I've already done this on mine. And then go down to super resolution. You're not going to mess with this. For some reason, if you mess with this makes things go pretty crazy. Unless you have like a super powerful graphics card, like a 40 series maybe. But I would not recommend messing with this. Once you do apply recommended graphic settings, this will set this where this needs to be. Obviously DLSS if you have a NVIDIA card. And then frame generation, if you have it, you obviously should turn that on. Full ray tracing, I just keep mine off. That's going to really tank the performance. And then when it comes to everything else, I just set everything else to high. And for me, that's worked really, really well. If you're having problems, what I would recommend doing is switching the, let's see here, this one, the shadow quality down, and then also the visual effects quality down, and the hair quality down, and the global illumination quality down. Those are the ones to switch down if you're having any types of problems. But if you're not having problems, I would try, a higher setting, because after the game launched, their pre-patch, their day one patch fixed a lot of issues that I was having. I had to bump a lot of things down before the patch to like shadow quality had to be medium. That can be high now. So they fixed all that. So that's how I recommend it. But just start with this, apply recommended graphic settings, and adjust from there. To sound, I mean, this is up to you, whatever you want. I have found that this game is awfully loud, so 65 overall has been a really nice way to play this game for me. Accessibility, you got to do what you got to do. And yeah, that's all we have for settings. Hey everyone. I've been getting asked a lot lately what I use when I stream for my webcam. Well, I'm super excited to share with you a quick review of the brand new EMEET S800 webcam. Whether you're a remote worker, a content creator, or just someone who loves to stay connected with family and friends, this webcam promises to deliver a top-notch experience. The EMEET S800 has a sleek and modern look with a compact build that makes it easy to fit on any monitor or laptop. The adjustable clip and tripod mounts are versatile, so you can set it up exactly how you want. Plus, it's super lightweight, so it's perfect for travel. But what really sets the EMEET S800 apart is the video quality. This webcam boasts a 4K resolution at 30 FPS or a 1080p resolution at 60 frames per second with HDR, giving you a crisp, clear, and smooth video every time. Setting up the EMEET S800 is a breeze. It's plug and play, so you don't need to mess around with any complicated software or anything like that. Just plug it into your USB port and you're good to go. It's compatible with all major platforms, including Windows, Mac OS, and even Linux. If you're interested in picking up the EMEET S800, I'll leave a link in the description below, or you can use this code. Now back to the video. So now booting up the game, as you can see, we're getting a flat 60 FPS. Everything looks to be pretty good. There's not too many fluctuations. It's jumping around a tad, but it's not anything drastic. I mean, it's playing very, very smooth. But you're going to have to adjust your computer, you know, how you got to go. Maybe some of those settings have to be dropped to medium for you, but once you get that good, everything should be running real smooth. So let's go through the mechanics of the game. We're going to start with the equipment section. So right off the bat, you know, here's your weapon. All you get through this game is different staffs. And I do not recommend always crafting the newest staff you get either, because upgrade materials are so rare to find. So kind of pick a playstyle and kind of try to stick with that. I have found, you know, the Wind Bear staff is what I kind of went into early on when I got it, and I've been using that a lot. But I will, once I get a better staff, I'm sure I'll upgrade, but just be selective on that. And then under that is our armor. So you have a headpiece, you have a robe, you have arm guards, and you have gaiters. Now, the cool thing about this is you have set piece bonuses. So when there's bonuses, it will say like Swift Pilgrim, moderately increased sprint speed. You have to have at least 3 of them on, though, for that to actually work. So if I was wanting to have that buff increased, I would have to put on this and also some other Pilgrim stuff as well. Just something to remember there. And so like for this instance, I have, you know, Ebonald Silk Robe. I'm using the Ebonald Arm Guard and the Ebonald Gaiters. So with all those 3, I have the Dance and Black Wind. I have that buff unlocked. So it's kind of a thing, you know, it's a set piece. You have to have enough of the armor on to be able to get the bonuses there. So that's just something to remember. Under that, we have like talismans. They're early on, you get these, the cat eye beads and the Jade jar. But these are just like talismans, little increases there. So this is a really cool thing. Basically, you can have a spirit with you at all times, and you turn into this spirit for a brief moment of time. And you unlock these by beating different bosses in the game. Now, the cool thing to remember about this is the equipped effect for passive ability. So each one of these has a passive effect. If we look at this, and we can look right here, it says equipped effect. So if we put this dude on, the Earth Wolf, we'll have the equipped as the grants, oops, okay, there we go, grants a small amount of additional focus on hit. So as you see, you can go through these, moderately reduces stamina cost for jump attacks, moderately increases poison damage, poison resistance, and then this is the one I recommend early on. Once you beat the Wandering Wight, considerably increases defense. If you are getting killed a lot, this makes all the difference. I've tested this out, and the damage negation is quite a lot. So considerably increases defense. Plus the Wandering Wight too. When you use this ability, you press the right trigger and left trigger together, and he just headbutts your enemy, and a lot of damage comes out too. So pretty cool all around just to have this dude, the Wandering Wight. You'll know when you find him. He's very early on. A lot of people have died to him. But once you kill him, you can incredibly increase your damage defense or your damage negation. So that's an awesome one to have. If we go out of there, we're going to go down to our belt. So this is something important to mention here. So if you pre-ordered the game, you're going to get the Trailblazer Scarlet Gourd. Now, the cool thing about this is you start with 5 flasks, which is really cool considering the standard one with the game only starts with 4. The bad thing is when you get to upgrade your flask in the game, you cannot upgrade the Trailblazer Scarlet Gourd. You have to upgrade the old Gourd. So it really does suck because you can't just keep continuing to update this. I wish they would have made it so you could just continue to update this, but just when you do get to that point in the story when you can upgrade your Gourd, you have to update the gold Gourd. You have to stop using the Trailblazer Scarlet Gourd. That's just how it is. It sucks, but that's how they designed it, I guess. I don't know. But then beside that, we have our tool belt. So on the tool belt, I recommend having the Incense Trail Talisman. The cool thing about this game, guys, is there is nothing bad comes from dying. Nothing bad comes from like leaving the battlefield and going back to your grace per se. It's called a shrine in this game, but nothing bad comes back from dying or any of that. So you can use this Incense Trail Talisman. Using this talisman shall immediately free the soul from the body and guide it back to the last keeper's shrine. So this is like a homeward bone, a free homeward bone. If you're a Souls player, you know what I mean by that. It just takes you right back to the shrine with no cost. Doesn't leave your souls out there or anything like that. It just takes you right back to the shrine. And you can use this unlimited amounts of time. So if you're out farming, you can just tap this and you immediately get transferred back. It's really cool to have. So I recommend having that on your belt. Second to that, I have subduing tiger pellets, but this is kind of just going to be your kind of per se what you want up there. I found the tiger subduing pellets to be good, and then the evil repelling medicament and at mesa powder or poison powder basically takes away poison resistance. Or builds up poison resistance, I guess I should say. But that is just something that you're going to have to see what you like on your belt. If we look at the self-advance tab, this is where all the skill trees and call it the confusing stuff kind of is in here. But honestly, it's not that bad. So what I recommend is when you're just starting out, build up your stamina tree. Now, I made the mistake of putting points in other things at first, and I had to respec, which is cool because respecs are free in this game. You can respec as many times as you want. So for instance, like bosses, anything you get stuck on bosses, you can respec always. But I recommend building the stamina tree out. Now you're going to have to pick what you want in here, but honestly, I just say try to max all these out. That's kind of what I'm doing on my current playthrough, is just trying to max out the stamina tree. Also, these are beneficial. You know, here's your survival. Each talent level moderately increases maximum health, and each talent level moderately increases maximum stamina. Those are obviously good ones to have as well. Martial arts, this is a great one to pick up early on, staff spin. There's a lot of mobs that shoot arrows at you in this game. I don't know why they had to put so many, but there are arrow shooters all over the place. This is a great skill to pick up because you can basically be like a Jedi and just whip out your staff and spin it around and fling all those arrows away. You can't fling them back at them, obviously. It's not Jedi Survivor here, but it's still a very, very good skill to have early on. You can also get the initiate the heavy attack too. When this was just closes the distance after it just closes the distance. But honestly, you really don't need it because you can quick attack pretty quickly. So I just recommend picking that one up. For staff stances, I recommend first getting one in each one so you have the ability to switch staff stances. So the smash stance has been my favorite, but you're gonna have to find your kind of what kind of play style you want to play with. I've also really messed with the thrust stance a lot too, and I do like the thrust stance. Pillar stances I'm kind of hit or miss on right now, but I recommend trying them all out and figuring out what you like. This is just going to be something you're going to have to mess around with, but I do think the smash stance is pretty OP, especially early on. This does a lot of damage, so something to remember. But those stances, though, you can easily switch in combat. So basically, if we switch to the left, we have a smash stance, and if we push up, we have a pillar stance, and if we push to the right, then we have a thrust stance. So those are our three stances. Each stance has different battle techniques, and you can easily switch in battle too. Just with a little tap there, you can like do some heavy attacks. You can combine heavy attacks and then go right into a poke, and then even if I wanted to do this, I could go up here and smash down. So really cool that you can actually combine all those stances. It's very Jedi Survivor-like in that manner. So the majority of this game is going to be battling physically. There's also spells too, but spells very, very, mana. You use mana in this game, and mana can only be regenerated by resting at a shrine, as far as I know. There might be something later on in the game you get that recovers mana like as you play, but I've not found that yet. So be careful with spell use. Immobilize will be one of your early on spells. It will basically keep somebody in place, and you can just battle and just smack them apart when they're just in stationary. It's a great spell, but I really wouldn't recommend putting points into this early on. This is something that you probably will build out later on. Alteration, Cloud Step, that's another spell, and the same with all these. Like I'm like a decent ways in this game, and I still, well, not decent, I'd still say I'm pretty much at close to the beginning. I'm just in chapter 2, at the end of chapter 2, so I'm really at the beginning. But what I found though is not putting points in these really helps a lot, and just keeping your points on the stamina, the martial arts and survival, and the staff stances as well. These can just be, these could be like probably mid game to end game things you probably want to level up later on, but at first I would not waste points on them. So the cool thing about respecing, let's talk about the respec real quick. If you go to the shrine, so let's go to a shrine, I'll show you what the bonfire is in this game. So if you go to the shrine, which is our bonfire, you have rest, you have travel, you have self-advance, craft, brew, store, make medicines, and leave. So first off, rest, obviously you rest, it's going to respawn everything. Travel, you can travel all around each shrine, you can travel to wherever you want. So anywhere in the world you have a shrine open, you can travel to that place at any time. If you wanted to actually see where you have like NPCs at, they actually are highlighted on there too, which is kind of cool. So I can see at Bamboo Grove, I have a little guy there so that I know I have an NPC at this location, Marsh of White Mist. That's a pretty cool little feature they did. So you don't have to be searching around like, oh, where did this NPC go? I was trying to complete this quest. Well, it's already on there for you. Self-advance, this is the tab that's really cool. So you can set your spells here, and once you get new spells, you can put on what you want here. And then you can reignite the sparks. So this is how you basically can respec at any time. You can hold down Y to respec everything, or you can go in here and just take away one spell at a time. Say if I don't want this pickup right here, I can easily click Reclaim Spark and I can pick something else. So whatever, I can easily modify this at any time during the game I want, which is very, very cool. I think they did an amazing job with that, and it reminds me of like Armored Core. You know, Armored Core, you get stuck on a boss, you can continuously try new builds till you beat the boss. This is kind of like that in a way. So I think that's pretty neat. But yeah, you have the same screen here, but you can just go and reallocate your points. Real easy to do so, all through whatever you want to change. It's all in here. Cultivate spirits. This is the same thing. You can go in here, change your spirits. You can upgrade your spirits in here too. So just something to try out there. Craft. So there's a craft weapons and craft armor in this game. You will be crafting both. Like I said, craft weapons, be careful with how many spears you want to craft, or because there's, you know, you're going to come across points where you're struggling trying to find stuff to upgrade them. So pick your poison on that. And then armor too. Kind of just, I've crafted everything so far. I haven't really ran into an issue with that because it's just yarn and will. For most of this stuff. Some of this stuff takes a little bit more stuff, but for the most part, you're going to be able to craft all the armor, so you don't really have to pick and choose from that. Just mainly about your staff. For brew, so brew is kind of like your physic in a way, from like if you're playing from Elden Ring. Basically, every sip that I take from my flask, I have this combined with it. So my 3-year-old old coconut wine, each sip recovers 36% of maximum health, and also I have the moderately increases damage negation. So once you go through the game a little bit, you can pick up different things, and you can mix these into your flask. So whenever you take a health flask during your playtime, you'll also get this benefit too. So if I had the Gourd gem on there, I'd have poison resistance for a short period of time. If I had the Celestial Lotus Seeds, recovers a small amount of health after I use the Gourd. So, and it just keeps kind of going up slowly. So it's kind of a cool little thing how you can combine this with your flask. So it's like, kind of like a physic, you know, like from Elden Ring. Store. So each shrine has a store. Each chapter has more items too. So I've bought a lot of these out from chapter 1. Chapter 2 has a brand new store. So just keep that in mind. If you buy this out, you know, next chapter, you're probably going to find more. But don't stress too much because you can always make these. In chapter 2, you get the ability to make all these medicines. So once you do a side quest there, I'm not going to spoil anything, but once you do a side quest, you can make all these medicines yourself. So let's talk about combat a little bit, because combat, you're going to have to find your own playstyle, but it's a lot of button smashing X in this game. Whichever style you play, if you want to play pillar stance or any of these stances, they're basically all the same. If you want to go and look at the details, there's small little things, but they all end with a big smash. or their final heavy attack. The main thing is you can combine your combos different. Like if I'm on that, I can go into a jab, and if I'm on my strength one, I can go into that with a big boom. So the other thing to remember in combat is focus points. So you see down here, let me see if I can highlight this here. Anyway, down here, oh no, I can't. For some reason my mouse was not loaded. Okay, well, if you look down in the bottom right-hand corner, there's going to be two little circles down there by the little pillar stance switching thing. So when this is switching, there's two little circles. These are called focus points. Once you get more focus points, and you get those through self-advanced, once you level more of these stances up, you'll get more focus points. So once you get down to here, you'll get 3. Once you get down here to get 4. So these focus points are really how you do a lot of damage in combat. So if you're playing and you're not doing a lot of damage, watch as I charge this up. I'm going to get a focus point, and I'm going to get another one. So now I have 2 focus points. Now this next attack that I do is going to be monstrous if I can connect it. So, and you also get focus points for just playing the game too. So if you attack enemies, you'll build up that focus meter. So when you're in a boss battle and you're dodging around, you'll build up that focus meter as you play. That's also something too to remember when you're going through your self-advanced tab, when you're leveling up your foundation. All these will help with that too as well. So just continue to remember that as you put more points in, look for the ones that help increase focus points. So that's going to be a very beneficial thing. The next thing is something that I figured out really early on, something that I liked doing that was very helpful. I ran into some enemies later on that just gave me quite a bit of trouble to beat, and I couldn't figure out like just how to really quickly kill them. And I figured out a cool combo. If you run up to them, jump attack, and then heavy attack. So you press jump, X, and then Y, and you can combine those. So jump, X, and Y. And it's just, and you can repeat that too. So it's a very easy way to knock out enemies very early on, especially when you're trying to learn the mechanics of the game. Also too, in boss fights, that's excellent to have too, because you can get some great knockdowns. But it's just a neat little combo that I've used quite frequently when I play. So try that out and let me know what you think. So as you go through the world, you're going to pick up a lot of different plants. The one thing you have to remember is plants are not like Elden Ring in this sense. They do not respawn when you rest. I wish they did. So when you're trying to craft a lot of medicines, you're going to run into the problems of not having the plants there anymore. Like I got to a point where I was thinking like, oh, I can just farm this plant because I know where this plant is. And I started to notice when I came back, the plant was no longer there. So that's just something to remember when you do pick up plants. They are gone from that place. You cannot just rest at a shrine and pick up more when you come back. I wish that was like a little farming thing because there's a lot of plants that I would love to be able to farm. Talking a little bit about your tool belt too, if you ever want to use your tool belt, all you do is hold down your right trigger and it's going to pull up your direction pad where you need to push. So let's say I just want to use the Incense Trail Talisman and travel back to my recent shrine. All I do is tap it. And I'm just going to vanish back. So the next thing I want to talk a little bit about is boss fights and what you should probably do if you're struggling on a boss fight. So the cool thing is you can use medicines in this game to increase your damage output. If you go to your medicines tab when you can craft these, you can go right here to make medicines. So you can do these that are upon use moderately increases damage for a long duration, and you can craft these. The problem is though, once you run out, you're out. So what do I recommend? So I recommend when you fight a boss to make a save state. So whenever you're fighting a boss that you can't beat and you want to just continue to battle them out with all your stuff, take a lot of medicines and try to really beat them out, but you don't want to waste them, you need to make a save state. So how you do that with this game is we're going to go into Steam. We're going to pull up Steam, and all we're going to do is right click on the game. We're going to manage, browse local files, and we're going to go into B1 and saved games. There you go. That's the folder right there. So before a boss, what I do is I open up another folder to my desktop, and I actually have a folder on my desktop called Black Myth Saves right here. And I just will drag that folder into Black Myth Save, and then after I die from the boss, and using all my stuff, and I want my items back too that I used, my medicines, all I have to do is drag that file back from here over into here and replace the whole thing, and then restart the game, and my save will be back, and I'll have all my items again. So that's how you can quickly make a save and have as many resources as you want if you're trying to fight a boss and you just want to continually use all your medicines and stuff. So that's just something cool that might come in handy for you. And honestly, guys, that's about it. That's just a quick beginner guide, no spoilers. I didn't want to include any spoilers for you guys here. This is just how you can get into the game, make the game work really well, and also just understand the basics of how to play this game. Because honestly, this has been a really fun game so far. I'm like I said, I'm only at the end of chapter 2, and it just continues to blow my mind how good this game is. I wish there was a parry and a deflect. It's sad that there's not. I feel like this game would work really well if it had more Sekiro features like that. But overall, this game has been really, really fun. Definitely recommend it. Pick it up. And if this guide helped you at all today, guys, please give this a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys next time. Stay strong, and God bless.